Hello friends, it's Sarah from Hardcover Hearts, back with something that you may have seen yesterday, and I'm redoing it. Deepest apologies. What happened was that I filmed during my lunch hour and got so busy at work that I didn't have time to edit during my lunch hour. Sometimes I try to film and then I go immediately to edit and then try to get it up sometime before the end of the day. Well, didn't get a chance to edit it immediately, so I edited it after work, and by the time YouTube had it loaded and put up and I had a chance to make it live, I was exhausted. So I went into bed and fell asleep. Woke up this morning to a bunch of really kind, very kind notices that there was a glitch. And apparently I kept saying the same thing over and over again. I am real. It wasn't a glitch in my system. It was a glitch in the editing software. And I think something in the process that went a little awry. So let me do a quick recap of what I said. It'll be much faster. That way we could just call this done. What I've done is I've turned that video to private, so it's not out there. I don't know if it's going to let me comment on anybody's posts that they had left or comments, so I apologize for that. But thank you very much for all of you who have left a comment. And I also keep meaning to say thank you so much for talking about how lovely my plants look. If you only knew that I never had a green thumb until I'd say the last few years, and I became obsessed with having plants when it became very clear that we were going to keep having wildfires and poor air quality. And having plants in your home is actually very, very good for the air quality within your space. So the more plants, the better air, the air, the happier I am. So as you can see, it's a win-win. And if you go back and look at any of my earlier videos, you'll notice there was like 2 and it just keeps growing. I might have to kind of do a wall, go up the wall next. So we'll see. Okay, let's get straight into the books that I read. The first thing that I read was I Am by Maggie O'Farrell. This is 17 Brushes with Death. It's a memoir told in vignettes, specifically 17 vignettes, where she talks about different times that through either randomness of life, through some kind of risky behavior of hers, or through some quirk in the way the body works, she has faced death. Beautiful writing, very visceral, like you feel what she's talking about. I think it was beautiful. Trigger warning for miscarriage. She goes into a lot of depth about a miscarriage and miscarriages that she's had and the physical manifestation of a miscarriage. I think it's terrific. I think she's a phenomenal writer, and I absolutely going to read more from her. So this was my second fantastic Maggie O'Farrell book. Then I finished Jade Dragon Mountain. This is number 1 of the REDUX series. This is by Elsa Hart. So this is atmospheric, set in China in 1708 in the Manchu era. We have the intersection of all of these events that are happening around an eclipse. So we have our main character, REDUX. He's a scholar who was kicked out of the Forbidden City, and he has to just kind of wander and travel. He's very happy doing that, but whenever he arrives at a new province, he has to report in. Just so happens his cousin is the head of this provincial capital. And so while he's there, he notices that there's a lot of travelers coming here and a lot of people are showing up. And he asks what's happening. And they say, oh, the emperor is on his way, so there's going to be all these festivals. So he's trying to get his registration and then get out of there before the emperor comes, because the emperor is the person who banished him. So he doesn't want to remind him of his presence. While he's there, he ends up having to stay the night anyway, and there's a big festival. So he catches up with his cousin, attends the festival, meets some other travelers, including some Jesuit priests, as well as Dominican priests, and a gentleman from the East India Company. And this is the very first time that anyone from the East India Company has been allowed in China. Where this is in China is near Tibet. So it's so you've got kind of the atmosphere and the area, nature writing from that area, remarkable. While he's at this event, a gentleman an older Jesuit priest gets up and retreats to his room, only to be found dead later. And so that's the mystery that he needs to solve. And it's just fantastic. I think the character development in this was wonderful. As I mentioned, the atmosphere was fantastic. I thought the plot was interesting, as well as just the place in history that she set this. So I will absolutely be looking for more from Elsa Hart for this series. Next up, Tove Ditlevson, Dependency. This is the third of the Copenhagen trilogy. It is translated by Michael Favala Goldman. And when I talked about this yesterday, I was searching for words. I think that this is not my favorite of the three. It's very sparse. You're very removed. This is Tove Ditlevson's memoir of her years when she is an adult, and she is looking for love in many wrong places, and trying to fill the void that exists in her. One of the things that I think is really important to say about this is she's very single-minded when it comes to her writing. She knows what she wants to write, and she devotes time to it. She puts in the work. She's very, very focused. But in other areas of her life, there's nothing. She's just a character that just kind of floats. Very passive, doesn't really know what she wants or how to get it. And that has some disastrous consequences in this book, which include multiple husbands and a very, very serious drug dependency. I think one of the things that I did mention yesterday that I want to make sure I don't forget to mention is how she's very good at not assigning blame for what happened. You know, she accepts her part in becoming addicted, and it's an interesting approach. You know, there's not a lot of why did this happen to me kind of, you know, addict story. It's very much she takes her responsibility. I thought it was good, but I liked the other two much better than I liked this one. But I still recommended the series very much. Then I finished Coventry, and this is Rachel Cusk's essay collection. And I find that, you know, it's a good combination of her essays and her style. So it's a culmination of a number of essays throughout her career. And they're set up in different sections. The one that I liked most was Aftermath, which is probably one of her most controversial ones, because it really looks at her relationship with her husband after she has cheated on him and the marriage is dissolving, and how they decide to deal with the children, and how she starts to look back on what she expected out of a marriage and partnership. I think there's some very good writing in here. I like how she crafts an essay. I like a lot of some of the things that she says. Some of the stuff I don't care about, but she has this this cold, intellectual way of approaching her material, and it makes it so that she's not always likable when you read her work. For me, I like to have a little bit more color and heart included, which is, I think, why I gravitated so much to Intimations by Zadie Smith. There's less of that here. It's much more intellectual exercise than an emotional exercise. But I think it's a great way to get introduced to her style, and but I also think that you could also try her trilogy, which is Outline, Transit, and Kudos. So that could also work for you to give you a sense of how she writes and how she thinks. There's an intellectual remove that you feel very, very much in reading her writing. Okay, and then I found an audiobook that's for free on Audible if you're a member. This is Therese Rakem by Emile Zola. So I didn't know anything about it except that Backlisted Podcast had done a big thing on it just recently. And so I would have passed it right by had I not been alerted to it by Backlisted Podcast. So I downloaded it, started listening to it, and it is amazing. It is hard to believe it was written in 1867. So modern, so current, so contemporary. It's really almost like an Edgar Allan Poe style of psychological drama of this woman named Thérese. And Thérese is a orphan. Her father was in the army. He had fathered a child with this woman who then died. He brings the child to his sister and asked her to look after the daughter, and gives the papers and everything, and then goes back out to war and is promptly killed. The aunt is obsessed with her son. Her son has always been sickly. She's been able to revive him from death a few times, and so she is like a hawk on this kid and sees Thérese as a companion and someone to give comfort with her to her son. And so Thérese is never really seen as an individual in her own right. She's always seen as an accoutrement and a companion for her son, Camille. Camille grows up and is trying to separate himself from his mother and his family and wants to go to Paris. But instead of letting him go on his own, the mother decides to sell their beautiful house by the Seine and move the entire family to Paris. And that's where everything starts to go sideways in many, many interesting ways. I thought this was so superb and sublime. It gave me all of those gothic-y, impending doom vibes that you want in this kind of autumnal season. So highly recommend it. It was fantastic. Bert, I did mention that in yesterday's video that Bert from Past Story Time, when he saw my post of it on Instagram, said it's one of his favorites. And as usual, excellent taste, Bert. So I thought it was fantastic. And again, perfect for this time. Then let's talk about what I'm currently reading. I have made more progress in Swann's Way by Marcel Proust. So very happy about that. I'll be checking in with Leo later today. It would have been earlier if I didn't have to redo this damn video. And then I also want to find some time today and tomorrow for Virginia Woolf. This I'm reading with Elizabeth from Bookish North, and she's been very patient with me. So that's about it for what I wanted to say. So I'm going to quickly throw this up with very little editing. So it's just going to be a quick throw together and get it up there. Apologies if this is wonky in any way. Hopefully it'll be less wonky than hearing my voice loop in strange places. But other than that, I'm in terms of what I'm looking forward to reading, I'm going to try to get to some things that are quick to get out because I want to clear the deck as much as I can, looking at you, Proust, in order to jump into next week with Victober. So that's it for me for now. Please stay safe, maintain safe social distance, wash your hands, and don't touch your face. And I'll see you again soon. Bye.